boomerboomer.com, and you are watching Boomer TV with the internationally renowned Cyndi Dale, author, speaker, healer, and the author of 27 books about energy medicine, intuition, and spirituality. You can be part of this amazing journey on the boomerboomer.com platform that will launch you toward the most fulfilling life you want after 55. And today, Cyndi will talk about the uplifting energy of gratitude. And now, Cyndi Dale.
Thank you, Andy. Hi, everybody. We are going to, as Andy said, talk about and experience the energy of gratitude or gratefulness. And when I use the word energy, it comes from my perspective of being an energy healer, energy medicine specialist, as we say these days, for about 30 years or so. Back when I started, we didn't use the word energy. We talked about spirituality and psychic messages and psychic energy, but toward recognizing that everything is made out of energy, which is just information that vibrates. And there's two types. There's physical energy, which is, knock on wood, what you can touch and perceive and measure, and subtle energy, which is the invisible stuff that constitutes most of reality and creates physical reality. And so as we delve into this topic of gratitude, I'm going to talk about it from a very normal, physical, measurable point of view, but we're going to experience gratitude on the subtle level in our hearts in a way that enables us to be filled with the spirit who we are and benefiting from gratitude. So let's first define gratitude. Gratitude or gratefulness is really, it's that feeling of, thank you. It's a great big thank you. And give yourself a second just to say inside of yourself, thank you. Don't link it to anything. Just feel the thank you. I know we were all taught when we were growing up, when mom or dad served our meal, we were supposed to say thank you. We were supposed to do our prayers and, thank God for the food. And we've all been taught by kindergarten, we should have learned that we're supposed to say thank you. But how often do we feel it? How often do we generate the actual spiritual quality of gratitude or gratefulness? I like using the word gratefulness, actually, because it indicates that when we're in gratitude, when we're in that sense of thankfulness, we are full of our own greatness. We actually do become greater as a human being, greater on every level, emotionally, physically, and spiritually than we are or were before we let ourselves embrace that energy and that reality of being grateful. I have a great story that taught me a lot about gratitude. And even here in the midst of all the chaos, the confusion, the question marks that we've been going through about the election, the high counts of COVID, the racial unrest, the financial ruin that so many people are in, there's a lot of reasons to not feel grateful or to maybe feel guilty. If you have a grateful life, if you're happy about at least part of where you are in life, it's very easy to feel guilty. And I want to nix that concept right away with a story of a man I met in March when we first went through the COVID shutdown, one of the many different COVID shutdowns we've gone through. I'm in Minnesota. And when we shut down, I was actually feeling grateful because I'd had COVID end of February, early March, and went through it very unscathed. I was very well, very quickly, and I was like, "Wow, this is great." And I also felt really sad for all the people who were coming down with COVID or trapped inside because of COVID, and weren't able to maybe kind of recover or help each other or even kind of meet their neighbors or their friends where they're at. So I volunteered for a program called Little Brothers, Friends of the Elderly, to talk with shut-ins, with elderly shut-ins who you sometimes can't get out, and certainly during COVID, the pandemic shutdown, weren't going to be able to get out at all, or kind of meet even their relatives or their loved ones. So I was assigned a gentleman named Otis Hightower. Otis Hightower was an African American gentleman in his early 80s who had run for 20 years one of the most successful jazz clubs in St. Louis, Missouri. And first, Otis and I visited on the phone. And then after a while, as the weather lifted in Minnesota, it's a very spotty lifting, snow one day, sun the next. He said, I haven't seen anybody but my grandson for months and months and months, even before the shutdown. I can't get out. I can't go to the doctor. I'm so lonely. I don't know anybody. I just moved here 2 years ago. I only know my son who works all the time. Can I see you? And so we constructed a little illegally, I think, according to the nonprofit I was volunteering for, this this way that I would bring two chairs down to his apartment building and we would wear various numbers of coats and jackets. We got into the summer, so we didn't need that after a while. And I'd bring waters and we'd sit in these chairs 10 feet apart and we would talk, which wasn't that easy to do because even though I have hearing aids, I couldn't hear him very well that far apart. But I learned how he spoke, I learned his way of being. And so this went on for many months. And the last time, yeah, here's the story. The last time I saw him was in July. It was a Thursday, and we actually hugged. Don't tell anybody. And he said, I'm so grateful for COVID because I know you wouldn't have volunteered for this program unless it was COVID and you felt like you were supposed to contribute. I'm so grateful for COVID because I got to know you and you're my best friend. You're my best friend. I was supposed to see him a few days after that. I called, there was no answer that day nor the next. I contacted the organization and they got a hold of the family and I learned that he had died the Friday. I had seen him Thursday and he died Friday. Um, I am sad. I was sad. I feel sad. I am also very grateful. And I'm extraordinarily grateful to know that I followed my intuition and that I knew Otis for all the pain that came from that brief knowing of him and for the loss, because none of us like loss and we can easily go into depression or anxiety and even sometimes heart issues or immune problems when we go through heavy losses. They're linked physically. Loss is linked. Depression and anxiety are linked to losses. I knew Otis, and Otis saw a reason to be grateful in the middle of one of the most challenging times he probably went through in his entire life. There's always something to be grateful for. And it's always beneficial to turn our minds and our hearts and our souls to gratitude. In fact, there's so many science studies that can prove that and show you the different lenses on the diamond of gratitude. For instance, if you every day think of and focus on something grateful for 2 weeks, insomnia will start to clear up. And I think when we're under stress and pressure, like so many of us now, we're not sleeping well and we want to sleep well. Uh, when we focus on gratitude, we get happier. We're like happier most of the time. We're more immune to depression and anxiety, to the anchoring that can happen when we go through challenging times and problems. We are more relatable. People like us better. I mean, don't you like it when the sun is out rather than when the storm clouds are up there? Worse is that kind of grayness. That's the feeling I get around people who are sort of looking for the problems and not able to accept what is uplifting in the middle of what really might be sort of a down kind of a time. In fact, it reminds me of a client I worked with once who I do intuitive work and energy healing work, and I look at, kind of what might be and what the causes of problems could be. And you clear those up, you can clear up a lot of difficulties. And I had been able to predict 8 different things that could happen for this particular client. 8 really great things, like looks like you might get another job, and maybe you can turn this around, or I think there's a dog that might show up on your doorstep, or I don't remember what it all was, but it was 8 very significant meaningful, important things. And he called about a year later and he said, you know what? Only 6 of those possibilities happened. And he goes, I can't believe that those other 2 didn't. And inside, I'm going, really? You're going to complain? Because 80% is pretty darn good. And we control a lot of our own destiny. So I didn't say this out loud. So, how do you know that what didn't happen wasn't because of you, not because of what the universe was bringing to your doorstep? And I just thought, you know, I would have an easier time, even as a practitioner, with this person if they had some gratitude about what was good. But it's even more important in our everyday life, to be honest. When we're grateful, we relish the positive experiences and the negative ones just sort of fall off. If we practice gratitude frequently, our brain patterns change. We're not in those kind of cortical, anxiety ridden rhythms that can just fall us, that fell us, that make us so worried and beside ourselves. We handle trauma better. We're more empathic. I could go on and on and on, but I don't think I really need to convince you of the health benefits on every level of gratitude. I think it's more now about how do we do gratitude, especially when maybe things aren't always great, and especially if maybe they're not great for other people. You can help others more if you're grateful, even if what you focus on when you're speaking with somebody who's down in the dumps is how grateful you are for them, how much gratitude you hold in your heart for the relationship you have with them. And maybe you can just be grateful you're able to give them a listening ear. There's always space and place for gratitude. A few ways that we can cultivate gratitude. And these are sort of more of the physical energetics, like the to do list. Count your blessings. Don't count sheep at night, count your blessings. I mean, those sheep, they can go on endlessly. That never helps me fall asleep. You're going to sleep better if you go, I'm really happy this happened today. Or, I have gratefulness for this conversation I had with my son or my daughter or my cousin. Or, I'm grateful that I could tie my own shoes today. Sometimes I can't bend over. There is always something. You might feel like you're faking it, but it's there and it's real. And even right now, think of something you can be grateful about from what's happened during the day before we've been able to meet and talk. Just focus on that. We also want to visualize what we're grateful for. Maybe there's absolutely nothing we can come up with in the moment. So then visualize something you love. Visualize that great big Thanksgiving turkey from last year, if you're not going to, here in America, get one this year. I love, this is so silly, but I love visualizing this certain type of chocolate. I love chocolate. And when I feel a little down in the dumps, so I don't always reach for chocolate, I just visualize this one type of chocolate bar I really like. And you know what? I feel happier. I feel better. It's like a zoom of that cocoa and caffeine. Visualize anything. Visualize something your mother did when you were growing up, or visualize something you did that helps somebody else, because that works the same way inside of us as when we visualize what is good for us. Visualize what's been great for somebody else too. Make a vow. Make a vow. You're going to be grateful. Make a vow. You're going to not just say thank you, but feel thank you. Make a vow. You're going to do that list in the morning or at night. And when you need to, enter your heart. This is a chakra and energy center. It's also a physical organ on the left side that best holds energy like gratitude. So many studies reveal that when we feel grateful or appreciative in the middle of this energy center, in the middle of our heart, our health improves. It's like we smile on the inside and the world can better smile back at us. So we're going to spend a moment and be grateful in our hearts, because that creates coherency and entrainment, two science words that mean now we're able to have perceptions that are positive, and every organ in our body with that energy of gratitude running through will communicate with every other organ and will literally feel better and be better. Breathe deeply. And focus with eyes opened or closed in the middle of your heart, underneath your sternum, in this space inside there that's full of light and brightness. It's sort of like a heaven on earth in the heaven of your body. Now, maybe there's a little turmoil in there right now, tumultuousness. That's okay. Maybe you've been reading the newspaper too much or feeling guilty that something's going well for you, but not others, or guilty that you're not appreciative all the time. Just be okay with that and switch channels. Ask your higher power to help you focus on something you feel grateful about. A quality you have. Maybe you know you're resilient or positive or hardworking. Image or imagine an activity you've gone through in your life that you are grateful for. Oh, times when you could go outside and walk more freely. A meal you relished and enjoyed. Think about a person, alive or not. You're just so happy you have known. And also, allow yourself to feel the gratitude of the higher one, the oneness, whatever it is you call God, for you. You are the beloved of your higher power who's so grateful you're here on this planet, on this time. Embrace the gratitude, be full of the greatness of yourself and this world. Breathe and be present. Thank you, Andy, for letting me share some of those insights.
Oh, that was beautiful. I now look at gratitude so differently, and it means so much more than I ever gave it credit for. So it's a great word to really develop. So that was great. Do we have a couple of questions? And actually, they revolve around gratitude. This is from Joni. She says that she thinks she knows the answer to this, but wonders if there are some tips to teaching, to better teaching her grandchildren the gratitude.
That's a great question. I know, because kids can be so whiny, can't they?
That's right.
So can we adults? Like, but I want more. He got a bigger piece of the brownie than I did. Right? So kids are very smart and they see through manipulation. So you can't just say, well, what are you grateful for? Or what's that attitude? It helps to kind of prompt them, like, well, what do you like about that? Or, gosh, I understand you're disappointed in this. Maybe we didn't get to go out sliding, or we didn't get to go out and do this. And I understand that you're disappointed, but what might be fun that we could focus on now? So if you can acknowledge where they don't feel grateful, or where they're disappointed, or they didn't get that big piece of the pie, or whatever it is, kids are also very distractible, as we adults are, and then kind of shift them to something they can be eager about, distract them into something more positive that can help. Plus, because we're made out of subtle energy, if you hold gratitude, it catches. So if you can feel grateful for your grandchild, for what you're going to do next, for something that's on your mind, their move improves quicker as well.
This one is kind of similar. It's from Bill, and he's going to make gratitude a higher priority with his grandkids. And he just wants to, he always reminds them to say thank you, but now he says he wants to know if there may be some other things that he should do, and probably similar to what you said for Joni.
Yeah, because I mean, we can say thank you and not mean it also. It's a
Hmm.
good ritual and it's very positive and it teaches good manners. And I would enhance that. I would expand that idea, Bill, by saying things to the kids like, well, say thank you for the meal and then say what you like best about the meal. So get the kids to more spontaneously, feel the feeling of gratitude and so they can add to it. Or maybe even kind of like you hand them like a quarter, maybe it's up to $5 now if they lose a tooth or whatever it might be. A quarter was big when I was growing
Yeah,
up.
it was.
And then the parents or you say, got to say thank you and just say, so what do you think you want to spend the money on? Or, what makes you really happy about getting that money? Or what makes you happy about losing the tooth besides getting the money? So get them to talk a little bit more so they can get into the spirit of the gratitude. And kids are funny. They have gratitude about so many wild things. I remember years ago getting a card from my son. He was probably, I don't know, 14. It was Mother's Day. And he had written it, you could hardly read it, on construction paper. There wasn't anything fancy about it. And he goes, Happy Mother's Day. I'm so grateful that you always pay for my baseball. I thought, you know what? There you go.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
let them be who they are and let them be grateful about what they're grateful about too.
Well, I'm going to sure make it a higher priority in my mind,
Right.
and remind my grandkids about that. So, well, let's. It's been. That's a great word to put on the top of my mind. And what are we going to talk about next week?
Next week, we're going to go a little more mystical. We're going to talk about how to receive spiritual guidance through what's called the fifth chakra or energy center, how to open up and be in the mystical world. We call it clairaudient or hear a message. So we're going to open up to a healthy, loving message and connect with guides.
Very good. Same time, same place, same day. So, Cyndi, it's all as always great seeing you again.
Nice to see you and everyone else. And I'm grateful for this opportunity, Andy, that I can come on and share with all of you. So thank you for giving that to me.
All right. Well, again, you've been watching Cyndi Dale, and she is an international renowned author, speaker, healer, and business consultant, the author of 27 books about energy medicine, intuition, and spirituality. And you can find out more on